Boker Tov, good morning. Such a pleasure to start out another day with a chance just to take it in. Good morning. I hope everyone got some good sleep last night. It's good to see everybody saying hello this morning. Wonderful to be together. Well, to feel this togetherness, right? There's so much more to together than being in one place. Even when we have the privilege of being in one place again, there's still a different kind of togetherness that we always found in these opportunities, and I'm looking forward to keeping that going, continuing to be one, be with one another. Yes, Boker Tov to all. Well, Boker Tov, welcome back to our daily Sinai streams, to this Boker Tov moment from Temple Sinai Congregation of Toronto, an opportunity each day to connect, to reflect, and to remember. And as we gather here today on this third day of Sivan, we progress during this week toward Chag HaShavuot, toward this amazing holiday that was our first fruits, the bringing of our first fruits to the Beit HaMikdash, to the central temple in ancient times, and the giving of Torah. But it's a good time also for us to think of our harvest, to think of what is it that during this time, any time, with its challenges, what is it that we're creating that is sweet, that is nourishing to ourselves and to the people around us. We need to be nourished body and spirit, and to look after ourselves and one another in doing that. So in marking that, let's join together in the translation of Asher Yatzar. Blessed eternal God, creator of the universe, you have fashioned our bodies with wisdom, creating within us a finely balanced network. To stand before you in prayer is itself a fragile miracle. Eternal God, we praise you as the healer of body and spirit. Now we celebrate Thursday night and Friday the incredible gift that is the chorus of divine and human voices, that is Torah. And so now we celebrate that with our blessing for Torah study. Let's join together in the Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. V'ha'arevna Adonai Eloheinu et divrei Toratcha b'finu, v'vafi amcha bet Yisrael, v'niyeh anachnu v'tze'etzaenu, v'tze'etzae amcha bet Yisrael, kulanu yod'ei shemecha, v'lomdei Toratecha lishma, Baruch atah Adonai, Hamlamed Torah le'amo Yisrael. Blessed is our eternal God, who is our teacher, who is the teacher of Torah to the people of Israel. Let's just take a moment and prepare to recite the Shema. The Shema is not merely an affirmation, it's an acceptance of a life that has meaning because we take on responsibility. But the expression of that responsibility like this recitation, once it's beyond its first line, really begins with love, with ahava. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavecha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha. Ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavcha hayom al levavecha. Ve'shinantam levanecha ve'dibarta bam. Ve'shivtecha bevetecha ubelechtecha v'derech. ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל, ואמרת עליהם, ויעשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית, וריתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תתורו אחרי לבבכם, ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו, ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם. These words of the Shema, they do remind us at their ending of the exodus from Egypt. It's been 47 days since we left Egypt. That is a challenge, isn't it? To remember the sense of freedom and responsibility to relate to the challenges that not our ancestors have, but that all human beings face, and that so many human beings face today on such a greater existential level than many of us are privileged in our own lives to face. And so I hope as we prepare for Shavuot that we are able to carry with us that journey from slavery and bondage and difficulty and oppression through freedom and exhilaration to a profound sense of responsibility. Doing so in a personal way is not a simple thing to do. And so for our next area of learning together, I've chosen something from our Musar tradition. For these first intermediate days, we looked at the intermediate blessings of the Amidah, all 13 of them, between the beginning and the ending of the weekday Amidah. And then after that, in this effort to remember and recall, we focused on our Shesh Zechirot, these 6 remembrances that we are challenged, that we are given the opportunity to remember every day. That every day we can remember the Exodus from Egypt, and every day we can remember Shabbat, and that every day we can remember standing at Sinai, and that every day we can remember the evil that exists in the world and Amalek, and that every day we can remember that our ancestors angered God in the wilderness, and that we cannot and should not strive to be perfect, but rather to do and live an excellent and meaningful life, and to remember Miriam, and to remember the challenge of relating to others positively, even when we have what's most positive in our hearts. All of these challenges are things that we face personally. And so the next period of study that I want us to focus on comes from a different part of Jewish tradition. It's what's known as Musar literature. Musar literature is literature that writes about self-help, about growth for us, about the opportunity for us to improve ourselves, to strengthen ourselves. And so I want us to engage in, even though I think it may take us more than 13 conversations, what I refer to as 13 steps to a better you, to a better me. This is from an amazing work of Musar, of self-growth and learning literature called Cheshbon HaNefesh, which literally means an accounting of the soul. This is a book that is in fact a 13-step program. It's written by Menachem Mendel Levine, spelled with a V or an F, as you'll see, who was born in Satanov in what is now Western Ukraine, referred to as Podolia, and who was truly an amazing individual. I want to talk a little bit about him today and about his perspective on human nature to set us up for his book, and we'll begin to learn some of the individual lessons that he has waiting for us tomorrow. But here's just a little bit of information about him. There we go, and I have to know how to use this in the best possible way. And hopefully that you can even see on the screen there. There we go. Try to make it so you can see the reference. His name was Menachem Mendel Levine, L-E-F-I-N or L-E-V-I-N. He's an amazing person, born in 1749, died in 1826, and referred to here in this from the YIVO, Y-I-V-O Encyclopedia, which is the Society for Yiddish Culture and Language. He was a maskil. He was meaning a follower of enlightened thought, the movement of the Enlightenment, modern rationalism based on applying scientific thought to human reality and internal life and behavior. Really, to be a maskil is to merge a modern viewpoint on life and science and humanity and understanding with a profound rooting in Jewish tradition. It's the movement out of which the Reform movement grew, in fact, founding itself not because of him, but during his lifetime. Of course, Reform Judaism mostly took root originally more in Germany, and yet he, as an Eastern European Jew, was a connector. He was a connection between these kinds of modern ideas and traditional Jewish thinking. He was not a follower of the Hasidic view of things, focusing almost entirely on Hasidism, focusing almost entirely on emotion and on finding simple joy in simple life and simple observance, something that I affirm is a beautiful thing, but I am moved by his desire for balance, for our ability to be able to add a sense of the rational, of the thoughtful, of the scientific to Judaism, and in doing so, make it not weaker, but stronger, giving us even more of an opportunity to learn who we are. And so his book, Cheshbon HaNefesh, an accounting of the soul, was written as, interestingly enough, it says in this article, you can look this up on the YIVO Encyclopedia about him, that it says that in fact he was influenced not only by local Jewish ideas, but ideas as far away as the personal improvement writings of Benjamin Franklin in the United States in those same times. He's a fascinating figure who brings together a respect for Yiddish and Yiddishkeit and traditional Judaism with a desire to live a modern rational life and always to seek to educate and improve ourselves. I think it's also symbolic for me that he was born in Satanov. Podolia is that area in what is now Western Ukraine. But Satanov is a place where if you look online for images, you'll see that in fact they built a fortress synagogue, something that sadly had to exist in Eastern Europe, where what it was that they had to do was create a synagogue that was not only a place to pray, but a place of protection and safety. Because of the danger of anti-Semitism and Cossacks and the like in this area of the world, that here's an individual who lived a life where he was born into real threat, and he knew what it meant to be a slave in Egypt, and yet focused not on escape and not on retreat, but on balance, on finding a way to move forward without letting go of the roots that have made us who we are. And so we're going to start to look at these steps tomorrow morning. But what kind of steps are they? He regards his book as an educational experience, but not education in a classroom, going to school on ourselves and saying to ourselves, wow, who am I really? What is my reality? What is it that moves me, that inspires me, that gives me the opportunity to be the most I can be and to live a meaningful life? And so he talks about the nature of us internally, that as it says in Jewish tradition, that we are effectively half spirit and half physical, half angel and half animal. And so he's aware of a struggle that goes on within us that we'll start talking about tomorrow, that when we are in our best places or as our best selves, it is our thoughtful, our rational, our positive emotional selves that are able to drive us forward. And that when we feel that inner sense of order and calm, then we truly have the opportunity to take our spiritual selves, our souls, and to engage in our world, in our life, in what's good and meaningful. On the other hand, when we're driven entirely by our physical needs and physical urges, we then don't have the same ability to be who we wish to be, to become the kind of human beings that we can become. And so what he created was a process to investigate, experience, and grow as human beings and as Jews by identifying 13 different characteristics, 13 different traits within that we can work on. With each one of them, as you'll see, he not only explained them, but he gave us one simple step that we can remember, one sentence description of that step that we can hopefully remember or even memorize as a reminder for us in a given day to work on some aspect of ourselves, to see that personal growth is not merely an idea in our lives, but something that we're able to do on an ongoing basis. So with that introduction, I look forward to sharing the first of his steps with you tomorrow morning. Growth is an amazing challenge that, as our founding rabbi would always say to us, Rabbi Jordan Pearlson, Oliver Shalom, that our job in life is not to be learned, but to be learning, that life is a process of expanding our heart and our soul and our mind, of growing and learning. And we are privileged to continue to do that, to have the opportunity to grow and to strive because we have our physical selves well and our needs met. That when we don't have those, we can't focus on anything else. And so we focus in our prayers now on all of those who are ill or unwell, those who are additionally isolated and challenged, and who need strength and healing. Likewise, we send out these prayers as well, our thoughts, and hopefully the actions that are driven by them to support those around us who make it possible for us to address our physical needs, those frontline workers. I do want to say also, having been in touch with quite a number of people who are working on the front lines, I hope in addition to standing outside and clapping at different times or signs, that when each of us has the opportunity to meet, to see someone who's on the front lines, let's encourage them, let's thank them, and let's support their responsible decision to, in a way that is safe as possible, to stand on guard for us. But let's make sure that we do that. I've heard stories of people questioning why others would step forward and endanger themselves in this way. And this denial of the value of service is something that, for me, is really a step away from the values that make our people who we are. So let's really live our values, not just think them, and let's be kind and supportive and thoughtful of those who continue to do that work on the front lines, as we include them with those who are unwell in this prayer of refuah. Mishiberach Abotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov v'imotenu Sarah Rivka Leah v'Rachel v'yaraped kol makotenu v'yiratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu lahachalimam v'lerapotam v'yishlach lanu mehera refuah shlema v'ateret shalom v'nomar. Amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless and heal all who suffer. May it be the divine will to provide healing and strength. Reveal to us the holiness of life, the wholeness of shalom, and together we say, Amen. And so now we take our moment to remember, remembering those who died in recent days and weeks, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have taken into our hearts with our own. During the period of Shloshim, the past 30 days, we extend our condolences to the families of Marcia Mason, Pauline Milrad, Ovid Ben-Ari, Andrew Kosman, Paula Rich, Susie Mate Veda, Esther Siskind, Cheryl Okarofsky, Irving Coben, and Julius Bell. And we also remember all victims of violence and terror, including Amit Ben Yigal in Israel. It is also our sad duty to report the death of Diane Novak, mother of our member Ellen Novak and of Ken Novak. The funeral will take place today, graveside at Mount Sinai Cemetery at 12:30 p.m. On your site today on this 3rd of Sivan, we remember Rebecca Bernstein, Alex Floman, Marie Friedman, Jack Friedman, Seymour Gould, Irving Alex Grozny, Gertie Katz, Faye Massoff, Manya Rappaport, Rose Sternfels, Eva Weiner. Zichronam livracha. May their memories be a blessing to us. Our griefs and our sympathies are mingled as we turn together to words sanctified by memory, words glorified by hope in the Kaddish Yatom. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabba, ve'alama divarach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, v'agala u'vizman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehe shmei rabba mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yit pa'ar v'yitromam v'yit naseh, v'yit hadar v'yit aleh v'yit halal shemei de kudisha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran ve'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and bring comfort and strength to all who remember. And together we say, Amen. Well, only 3 more days until Shavuot. Make the most of each one. Make it a beautiful, growing, learning, caring day. Boker Tov.